Okay, let's dive in. You're about to hear the pretty unbelievable story that really had the internet buzzing early 2025. We're talking about the rise and, well, spectacular crash of a meme coin called ROGERS.
Yeah, spectacular is one word for it.
Right, and forget what you think you know about crypto, because this isn't just numbers on a screen. It's drama, friendships, trust, betrayal, all happening online.
Exactly. Like an internet soap opera almost, but with real money and real people getting hurt.
Think of it like the wildest roller coaster ride online.
Yeah.
And you've got a front row seat for this deep dive.
That's right. We've really dug into, the community chats, the timelines, the blockchain records, everything we could find to piece this together.
It's not just about a coin failing, is it?
Not at all. It's about how these online groups work, what happens when trust breaks down, and honestly, how easy it can be to manipulate things. It's a very human story, deep down.
And central to this whole thing is a figure known as Fred. Now, Fred wasn't some random guy. He'd been apparently a known face in this online community, UFOX, for like 3 years.
Yeah, established, which is important.
Totally. It gave him that built-in familiarity. People felt they knew him, trusted him. He apparently even talked about close friendships there.
Which makes what happened next even rougher.
Yeah.
So our goal here is to basically lay out the whole ROGERS saga,
right?
How it started, why people got so excited, how it gained all that traction, and then the big one, the alleged rug.
The rug pull, where the creators just vanish with the cash?
Pretty much. And crucially, what the community, the people actually involved, learned from it all. Okay, so let's start at the beginning.
Right. So meme coins. For anyone listening who might be a bit new to this corner of the internet, what are we actually talking about?
Well, think of internet jokes, memes, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine those turning into actual digital currencies.
Okay.
Their value often isn't tied to, like, company profits or anything traditional. It's driven purely by hype, by community excitement, by how much buzz they can generate online.
So the community aspect is huge.
Absolutely massive. People rally around a shared idea, a joke, whatever it is, and that collective energy is what gives the coin value, in a way.
Which brings us back to Fred's background in UFOX.
Exactly. He wasn't an outsider trying to sell something. He was, or seemed to be, part of their community. He'd spent years building that reputation, making connections, earning trust, supposedly.
And that trust seems like it was the secret sauce for ROGERS early on. We even saw a quote from someone, Barr, describing getting into ROGERS as a wild ride. It sounds like it was genuinely fun at the start. People were gathering in these online audio chats, spaces, they call them.
Spaces, yeah. There was real excitement, a buzz, and importantly, people seemed to think it was all pretty transparent.
They thought they understood what was going on.
Right. That initial feeling of openness, of being in it together, that makes the later claims of betrayal just hit so much harder.
But yeah, that wild ride definitely hit a wall. Price just tanked.
Completely cratered. The community's words were stark. Rug to hell.
Rug to hell. And just to clarify again, a rug pull, that's crypto slang for the creators basically taking all the investors' money and running, right? Often by draining the liquidity pool.
Precisely. Pulling the rug out from under everyone. And this wasn't just about losing money, though that was bad enough. No, it actually spurred some people in the community to become investigators. Folks like Dreas, who also goes by Rob online, they started digging.
Ordinary users turned detectives. That's pretty incredible.
It really is. When you feel wronged, sometimes you find that motivation. They started looking at the blockchain, at the transaction records.
Focusing on specific digital wallet addresses, I gather. Like digital bank accounts, sort of?
Kind of, yeah. Think of the blockchain as this public, unchangeable ledger of every transaction. So one key wallet was DQ5.
DQ5, okay.
The allegation was this was Fred's main wallet. Now get this. Fred apparently shared a screenshot claiming it held $800 million in USDC.
800 million. Seriously. What's USDC again?
It's a stablecoin, meant to stay pegged to the US dollar. So one USDC is roughly $1. But the actual blockchain data.
Let me guess, not 800 million.
Not even close. Around $800,000. Still a lot of money, sure, but a massive difference. Plus, that wallet was active. Funds were moving.
Okay, so DQ5 was one. What else?
Another big one ended in 686. This was the wallet that actually created the ROGERS token.
The creator wallet.
Right. But it also created another coin called Donald Dump Coin. Same creator for both. That immediately raises red flags, right, if one goes bad.
You start wondering about the other, and did they connect 686 to the crash?
Investigators traced transactions showing 686 interacting with wallets that pulled huge amounts out of the Rogers liquidity pool, helping trigger the price drop.
Okay, so a direct link there. Any others?
Yeah. One more key one starts with 7GSFI. Dreas, the investigator, recognized an address that sent funds to 7GSI.
And where did that funding address get its money?
Back to DQ5, Fred's alleged main wallet.
Wow. So DQ5 funds another wallet, which funds 7GSFI. It's like a chain.
Exactly. A chain they started to piece together. But you got to understand, tracing this stuff isn't easy.
Right. I was going to ask, how hard is it?
Imagine like a dungeon with tons of hidden tunnels and passages. People try to hide money in crypto. They move it around constantly through different wallets, trying to muddy the water. It's basically digital money laundering.
Obfuscation.
Totally. But despite that, these community investigators found some really suspicious stuff early on.
Like what?
Well, they found maybe 60 to 80 accounts that made big profits. We're talking $4,000 to $20,000 on average, with almost no money invested themselves.
Wait, how does that even work? Free money?
It screams unfair distribution, right?
Yeah.
It suggests tokens weren't just bought, they were maybe given out. They also saw accounts getting free tokens, airdrops, and then just immediately selling them, dumping them on the market.
Which would drive the price down for everyone else.
Precisely. And then there was the liquidity pool itself. The analysis suggests it was being, siphoned off somehow.
Siphoned.
The total value locked in the coin, the market cap was going up, but the actual liquidity, the money available for trading in the pool, wasn't keeping pace. The community called it a top-heavy chart.
Meaning it looked good on the surface, but the foundation was weak.
Exactly. High value, but not enough underlying support. Makes it super vulnerable to a crash if someone pulls out a large amount.
Like pulling a Jenga block from the bottom.
Good analogy. And then there was this one wallet called DST.
DST. What was its deal?
At first glance, it just looked like a regular trader. Buying Rogers, selling Rogers, making a profit, formal stuff.
Oh.
But when they dug deeper, DST was connected to a lot of those top-earning wallets we just mentioned, the ones that barely invested anything.
Oh, okay. More connections.
And the kicker, DST sold way more Rogers than it ever bought on the open market.
So where did it get the extra tokens?
The suspicion. Those airdrops again. Free tokens, likely funneled through DST to make it look like trading, but really just cashing out. It pointed towards coordinated selling.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of smoke. Was there a smoking gun? Something concrete?
This is where someone named Heather comes in. Her testimony was crucial.
What did she say?
She described being in one of those online audio spaces with Fred. He was hosting a game like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire contest.
Okay.
And the wallet Fred used to send Heather her winnings. It exactly matched that 7GSV address we talked about earlier, the one linked back to DQ5.
No way! He used it openly.
Apparently. And there was another time, she said, where she bought some Rogers, mentioned it in the space, and Fred acknowledged it. The transaction confirming her buy, again, came from that same 7GSV wallet.
So Fred was openly admitting through his actions that 7GSV was his wallet.
Seems like it. That was a huge link, direct confirmation from someone who interacted with him.
And what about Dreas, the investigator? Did his work lead anywhere solid?
Absolutely. It led to this massive spreadsheet. Detailed, meticulous, not just talk actual blockchain transaction data, mapping out all these connections.
Showing the links between DQ5, 686, 7GSV, DST, those early winners.
All of it. And the spreadsheet showed clear examples. People who bought zero Rogers, literally zero, but cashed out $15,000, $20,000.
Just unbelievable. How?
White.
Airdrops again?
Had to be, right? Tokens just appearing in their wallets.
It sounds like despite the attempts to hide things, there were some slip-ups.
Oh, yeah. Some alleged carelessness.
Yes.
Like, apparently, Fred might have announced he was about to sell tokens before he actually did it.
Giving people a chance to watch his wallet.
Exactly. If you know which wallet is his, and he says, I'm selling soon, you can just watch that wallet on the blockchain explorer and see the transaction happen. Dreas' spreadsheet supposedly even flags a specific instance of this, line 72 or something.
That is sloppy, if true.
Very. And then is what Fred did after Rogers crashed.
What was that?
He didn't just disappear, he started launching new coins, like immediately.
New meme coins.
Yeah, with names like Donald Dump Coin, Gaping Butthole, ET Quest 4chan, just churning them out.
Seriously, after the Rogers disaster.
Yeah. And then Rogers community saw that as, well, pretty damning. Someone named Bohr summed it up, saying something like, you don't ghost your community after a crash and then instantly launch new stuff.
Yeah, it looks terrible. Like you don't care about the people who lost money. You're just moving on to the next thing.
Exactly. It suggested a total lack of accountability. Plus, remember that $800 million claim for the DQ5 wallet?
Compared to the actual $800,000.
Right. That massive gap just destroyed any credibility he might have had left. The blockchain doesn't lie about balances like that.
So the financial side is devastating, obviously, but what about the human cost? The community impact?
Oh, it was huge. People felt really betrayed. Someone named Sarah apparently talked about feeling bullied, pressured to keep holding their Rogers, even promoted when they secretly had doubts.
Pressured by who? Fred? Others?
Likely a combination. That's the atmosphere that can build up in these hype cycles. She even compared it to an abusive relationship, which is, wow.
That's intense. It speaks to the psychological side of this.
Definitely. And it wasn't just the Rogers investors. People in the wider UFOX community felt the fallout too.
How so?
Well, comments from someone called Nathaniel suggested a real loss of trust within that original community. Fred had been part of their space for years, remember. His alleged actions cast doubt on everything, on the relationships built there.
Yeah, that makes sense. A betrayal like that poisons the well.
It really does. And the platform where Rogers launched, Pump.Fun, also came up.
Pump.Fun. What's its role?
It's a platform designed for launching meme coins really easily. But the way it works often means the very first buyers, the insiders, can get a huge chunk of the total tokens for tiny amounts of money.
Like disproportionately large amounts.
Exactly. It creates this inherent unfairness right from the start if things go wrong. For Rogers, they found one wallet got 250 million tokens for just $1,700 worth of crypto on Pump.Fun.
250 million for $1,700. That's insane. And was that wallet linked?
Yep. Traced back to Fred's network of wallets.
So the system itself kind of enables these situations if someone wants to exploit it.
It can, yeah. It makes these community-driven projects inherently risky, especially if trust is misplaced early on. Then there were the liquidity pools, plural.
Right, you mentioned those earlier. Weren't they complicated?
Yeah, a bit. So liquidity pools let people trade easily. You put an equal value of two coins, say Rogers, and another coin, maybe a stable coin, or even, well, in this case, another meme coin like Trump.
Wait, they paired Rogers with a Trump meme coin?
Mm-hmm. Several pools like that were set up by different people, it seems. Arthur and Doomer were two names mentioned.
Arthur and Doomer. And what was the issue there?
Well, people questioned their motives. Were they just trying to help Rogers by providing trading options? Or were there other reasons? Conflicts of interest. Arthur apparently claimed he didn't make much profit and acted alone, but questions remained.
Especially with multiple pools involving different people popping up.
Right. And Doomer specifically got attention for the Rogers-Trump pools, partly because of promised airdrops to Trump coin holders who used those pools. Again, was it genuine support or something else? The community was divided and suspicious.
It all just adds layers of complexity and potential manipulation.
Totally. But, out of all this mess, there were lessons learned. Big ones.
Like what? What was the main takeaway for the community?
The biggest one. Don't trust, verify. That old crypto mantra. You can't just take someone's word for it, especially when money's involved. You need transparency. You need to check the blockchain yourself, if you can.
Verify the claims, check the wallets, look at the transactions.
Exactly. Skepticism is healthy in this space.
Yeah.
Vitally important, really.
So what happened afterwards? Did Fred ever, come clean or share his wallet info?
Nope. He reportedly refused to publicly share his wallet addresses, which, of course, just makes transparency and accountability impossible.
Hiding the evidence, essentially.
That's certainly how the community interpreted it. It fueled the suspicions even more.
But despite all that, the financial loss, the betrayal, the community didn't just give up.
No, and that's the remarkable part. They rallied. They did the investigation themselves, shared the findings, trying to piece together the truth. It shows real resilience, a desire to understand and learn, even from something so negative.
That's actually quite powerful, turning victimhood into action.
It is.
Yeah.
And it really hammers home the point we started with.
That this isn't just about code and coins.
Right. It's about people, human intentions, good and bad, driving things even in these digital, supposedly decentralized spaces. Trust, greed, collaboration, betrayal. It's all there.
Then that really strange final piece from Panda about Lou Elizondo.
Yeah, totally unexpected. Panda claimed Fred said his motivation for even creating Rogers was losing money in some Bitcoin space where Panda used to play Lou Elizondo clips.
Wow. If true, that's a bizarre origin story.
Isn't it? Adds a whole other weird layer.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on Rogers, it's clear this story is more than just a failed meme coin. It's a stark warning, really.
Absolutely. A cautionary tale about misplaced trust, the Wild West nature of some parts of crypto, and why doing your own homework is just non-negotiable.
And the community's investigation, while born from a bad situation, is kind of inspiring in its own way.
Definitely. It shows the power of collective action and the drive for truth, even against obfuscation. It's a lesson for anyone involved in DeFi or even just online communities in general.
Yeah, this whole thing probably raises more questions for listeners, right? About how blockchain analysis works, the nitty-gritty of liquidity pools, the psychology driving these online groups.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, that's good. We hope it does spark curiosity.
We definitely encourage people to dig deeper if they're interested. Look into blockchain tech, DeFi, how online communities function, maybe research terms like rug pool, liquidity pool, blockchain explorer.
Yeah, understanding those concepts gives you a much better lens through which to view these kinds of events.
And maybe in future deep dives, we could explore some related areas, other meme coin case studies, maybe,
Right.
or how trust is being built or rebuilt in decentralized systems.
Absolutely. There's no shortage of topics.
Yeah.
We can even get more technical on the digital forensic side of things, how investigators actually track the funds.
Lots to potentially cover. But for now, maybe a final thought to leave our listeners with.
I think it comes back to that central challenge. We're in this rapidly evolving digital world, right? Innovation is happening incredibly fast.
Mm-hmm.
How do we balance that? How do we encourage innovation and build real, genuine online communities while also protecting people from bad actors who want to exploit that openness and trust?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the $800,000 question in this case.
Yeah, something like that. But seriously, it's a question that's going to define a lot about how we interact online, how finance evolves, and how we build a more trustworthy digital future.